3 ways to go from strangers back to lovers after years of marriage.
The first thing you have to do is you got to remove the image from your mind of who your husband or your wife used to be. Remove the image. Remove who they were on the day that you got married. You know, we talk to a lot of couples. We hop on a lot of connection calls. And one of the things that, you know, we hear often, even when we're DMing people back and forth, we hear this often. They're not who I married. This isn't the person I married. They weren't like this when we got married. Here's a news flash, y'all. Okay. Your spouse will never be the person that you married, especially after years of distance. They will never be the same person. You can't expect them to be. Why? Because over time, you know, you either, and you could speak to this more, you're either going to increase or decrease. No one and nothing is going to stay the same. No one and nothing is going to stay the same. So you can't really expect your spouse from 7 years ago to remain the same person, especially if y'all have been living separate lives. You live in the same house. But if you have been living separate lives, y'all cannot expect each other to want the same things, to like the same things, be into the same things. You can't expect any of that. And so what you have to do is you really have to remove the image of who your spouse used to be. Because the truth of the matter is after 4, 5, 6, 7 years, you're not married to the same person. They're going to develop. They're either going to increase in development or they're going to decrease in development. And you will do the same.
Exactly. So that's the first part of removing the image of who your spouse was. Because like she's saying, like we're saying, your spouse is going to grow or decrease. And if you're growing or decreasing, whatever it may be, expect your spouse to do the same. Yeah. So if you're expecting them to, everything's going to be the same like it used to be. Mm-hmm. No, it's never going to be like that. It's either it can be better or it can be worse, but it's up to you. It's up to the both of you to figure out, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to make this better or are we going to make this worse? And truth be told, you can actually make your relationship better than what it used to be. You can actually make your relationship better than what it used to be when you first got married. Yeah. Yes, through all the situations or the seasoning that you've been through, you can make the situation afterwards if you're doing the correct things and if you remove that image of, well, you used to do this, you used to do that. Well, if they used to do this and used to do that, that means you're stuck in the past by seeing them like that. You got to see the new version of themselves and you got to bring a new version of yourself to the table.
Yeah. I remember, it makes me think about when we first got married and, I had this like vision and this image for the relationship. And then those first couple years were like some of the worst years, right? But then going through the trials that we went through, going through all the cycles that we went through, like going through all the rough patches, the seasons, all the things that we learned, like the ugly stuff, the real ugly stuff. And then being at this place where we're at now, it goes back to what you said. You can make you can make now way better than what you thought you could have had in the beginning.
Exactly.
Way better.
And so that's number one, is removing the image. And you may say, well, Tazadaq Zakah, how do we make it better? Mm-hmm. Okay, what we just said, one thing is how you see it, right? How you see it, removing the image. The next thing is rediscover who your spouse is through conversations. Through conversations. That's how you get to know people. Mm-hmm. The people in your job, how did you get to know them? By talking to them. Your spouse, when you first got together, how did you get to know each other? By talking to each other. So we get to know each other and we learn people through conversations. Yeah. And it's actually specific conversations. Because you ever talk to someone and you try to have a conversation with them and it goes, that small talk, and it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. You be like, Lord, save me from this conversation.
I got to use the bathroom.
Yeah, it's dry.
You out.
It's dry. So it's specific conversations that a married couple have to actually rediscover each other, rediscover each other and take the relationship and actually start building that connection and go from strangers, from lovers. In a specific conversation, you may say, what conversations are those?
They gotta be intimate.
They gotta be intimate. It gotta be those heart-opening conversations. Yeah. Heart-opening conversations where you're wearing your heart on your sleeve and you actually, open up, you trusting your spouse with certain things, trusting your spouse with all those things.
Yeah. That's one of the things about it too. And we actually just released a guide. It's called, what is it called? Connection Provoking Conversation. So it's a 5-day video guide to help couples face their issues, break the ice, and get what we call emotionally naked, where you are, picture that, unrobing yourself through your emotions, letting all of your thoughts and deeper thoughts out, and letting those secret desires or those secret things that are, hidden in your mind, you're letting that out and you're letting that be known. All right. So if you are interested in that guide, you want the link to download it, just type guide in the comments and we will send you the link. Okay. But these conversations that you have, they have to be intimate. Okay. We're not talking about like, oh, we just bought a card game and we're getting to know each other with those questions on the card game. We're talking about real intimate conversations, where you are asking those deeper questions, and it's in a way where it's guided. And that's exactly what we help couples do inside of our program, is to guide them through these conversations, because the truth of the matter is some of those conversations are hard. Some of them are difficult. Sometimes you're going to hear your spouse say things that you were not ready for. You were not ready to hear the answer to that, but they're giving you the truth. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we teach the couples that we work with is that every time your spouse opens up to you, that is a gift. Every time. It's a gift. Why? Because they're letting you in.
But people have to change their perspective to be able to see that that's a gift. Because someone say, well, my spouse is yelling at me or we arguing. Well, if you see it as a gift, okay, remove the emotion as a gift, but what are they saying behind that yell? Yeah. What are they saying behind that, in the midst of that argument? Mm-hmm. What are their true feelings? Mm-hmm. So if you see it as a gift that way, you're able to continuously learn your spouse and continuously connect with each other. And through those tough conversations, growth happens. Tough conversations allow growth. Tough situations allow growth. Mm-hmm. When you're in a season, when you're in a season and you're going through a situation, it allows growth if you're able to see it through, shift your perspective, see it through, and make it through, and allow your eyes to be keen on what can I learn in this situation. Mm-hmm. It could be a benefit. So when you and your spouse are having conversations, it's actually a gift, no matter what the conversation is. You just gotta look and see what's the bottom line behind it. Shift your perspective.
Yeah. But you know what the thing is too? Everyone does not believe that. Everyone doesn't believe that. It really depends on who you talk to. Some people you talk to and they're like, oh, he's yelling. Oh, she's yelling. She's talking to you like that. Right? They're going to tell you like, okay, that they're not the one. This ain't for you. This isn't what you need. You don't need this in your life. When the truth of the matter is you can work through those things. Okay. What does it take? It takes us unrobing. It takes us getting emotionally naked. It takes us having what we call discovery conversations. Discovery conversations. Listen, y'all, date nights are great. We love us a good night out. Okay.
We have a lot of discovery nights. Where we're sitting talking to each other and learning about each other and building that bond, that unbreakable bond. And when you have that, you discover something about yourself. You discover something about each other.
Yeah. But you got to be patient enough to get through that conversation. You have to be patient enough to, rediscover who your spouse is. We prioritize learning more about each other than we prioritize going out on dates and going on vacations and doing all the extra stuff, right? That's a plus. Like that's a cherry on top, but that is not the solution. And so for some people, they're like, oh, we need more quality time. That's great. But what are you doing during that quality time? What are you doing? Are you just eating dinner? Are you just taking pictures? Are you just taking selfies? Are you just, laughing and that's great. Have a great time. But that does not take the place of the time needed to rediscover your spouse, especially when you have been feeling like, man, we do need to reconnect. You know what? I realize that you don't trust me. I realize that you're not willing to let me all the way in. You're not willing to be completely honest with me. There's something here that we need to work on. And so the discovery, that's what's going to give you the answers to that. That's what's going to show you, okay, how do we need to move here?
Sometimes those date nights, those dinners, all that stuff, it's actually a distraction. So you don't have to focus right here and sit across from each other and really talk with each other, but you can focus looking outward. Yes. Oh, we laughing at this, we having fun doing this. Yeah, that's all fun. But you want to be able to sit down across from each other and look at each other and be able to talk and not have a conversation where it's no conversation there at all. A dry conversation.
Or it's dry.
I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was number 2.
That was number 2.
That was number 2.
And you know something? After you have realized, okay, I need to remove the image of who my spouse used to be. After you have sat down and said, let me take the initiative, because the truth is, y'all, someone has to take the initiative. Can we just touch on this for a second? Like, let's just park here. Someone has to take the initiative. Okay. What we find a lot is everyone is always waiting for the other person to step up. Okay. And let's say your spouse tried one time, or your spouse tried 2 or 3 times taking initiative. And that's still not good enough for the other person in their mind. Somebody has to take initiative. And when you take initiative, it's not, I'm going to try one time. And then I tried one time. They didn't meet me halfway. I'm done. I tried one time months ago. They didn't meet me halfway. I'm done. Okay. That's not how it works. Here's the truth. The desires that are in your mind, the true desires that are in your mind, the true desires that are in your heart, they're always going to manifest themselves. And so when you truly desire something, it's going to show publicly. What you truly desire in your mind is going to manifest itself publicly. And so what happened for me was I truly wanted us to learn how to have arguments, how to disagree properly, how to grow, how to communicate, all of these things. And so what happened? I decided, you know what? I'm going to keep taking initiative. And I'm going to speak to him, and I'm going to learn how to sit through these conversations no matter how hard they are. Because what I wanted in the back of my mind was for this thing to really work. And it did. It manifested itself. And so that's something that we got to keep in mind. And so what we want to remind you of is that no labor is in vain. That's scripture. No labor is in vain. Not labor at your job. Not labor with your children, not labor at work, and definitely not labor in your marriage. No labor is in vain. And so if for you right now, you're feeling like, man, we've been strangers for a while. I keep taking this initiative. They're not meeting me halfway. We want you to keep pushing. Keep pushing. Take the initiative again.
And sometimes it's like a job. Sometimes in the job, you're forced to work overtime. If you want that paycheck, what you going to do? Oh, I got to make arrangements and get the children picked up. I got to just make arrangements, whatever it may be. You're forced to do that overtime. So like in your relationship, you may be the one that's doing that overtime right now, but best believe it's always going to be a payoff because no labor is in vain. Mm-hmm. And if you desire something, going back to what my wife was saying, if you desire something, and you expect it's going to happen, but it may take you 50 to 100 times. But the thing is, when you really want something, you're going to make sacrifices. When you really want something, you're going to go all in. So reciprocity is real key here, to go all in.
Yeah, 100%. And the beautiful thing, after you've done this work, after you've removed the image of who your spouse used to be, after you rediscover who your spouse is right now, because they have changed. Their desires have changed. Their thoughts, their perspective has changed. They're not the same person. You don't need to hold them to who they used to be. You can let that go. Once you've done all that, now you can just entreat this new person. Now you can learn more about this new person and give this new person what their needs are. Give this new person what their desires are because they've changed. And that's the beauty of this all. Marriage it's just filled with levels. And it's filled with seasons. And it is a beautiful experience. But so many people are so caught up on the vision that they had when they first got married. They won't let that go and won't allow the relationship to develop into something even more beautiful than what they had envisioned in the beginning. And the truth of the matter is it can happen. It can be that way. Doesn't matter how many years it's been. Yeah.
But they got to want it.
You have to want it.
You have to want it, and it goes back to the situation with us. Like I was, initiating it because that's what I wanted. Mm-hmm. I wanted to have those conversations with you. But if I didn't initiate, no telling where we would be. Yeah. If I would have just said, this is my 10th time coming to it. Let's sit down and talk. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Initiating the conversation. Where would we be?
Yeah.
So it's like I wanted it. So, that's what we're talking about tonight, so just how, 3 ways to go from strangers back to lovers after years of marriage. And some of you may have been married 1 or 2 years. Y'all in that stranger season right now. Some of y'all 5 or 6, 7 years in that stranger season right now. So we hope this benefited you. And like we said, if you haven't already downloaded our Provoking Conversations comment guide, it's a no-cost guide. Said 5 conversations that it's a must-have if you want to start connecting, having that emotional intimacy with your spouse, moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. Just comment guide below in the comments, and we'll send you the link for that.